ಏನಪ್ಪ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಾ? ಓಕೆ. So in the last few classes, we have started with completed with 4th module. Now we start with the last module, and that will be end of your semester if we complete this 5th module. Okay, what is there in the 5th module? So in the 5th module, we'll be studying about how the networking. So now we are all on the network, online only we are teaching the classes. So then how all these are working, and if they are working, how they are related with the Java. So what are the things? So you would have studied in CN. So what is socket? What are classes we use? So that those things we'll be studying in this module. That's in the last module. Okay, so in this module, we'll be studying about networking with Java, then the networking fundamentals, the networking class and interface, the internet address class, socket class, then what is URL class, how do we connect the connections with the URL class, then what are the protocols we are using. So if we are using HTTP, then how the URL connections class are being used. Along with that, we have a last topic, that is collection frameworks. What is collection overview? Recent changes in the collection. So what are the collection interface, collection class, accessing a collection via an iterator, storing user-defined class in collection, the random access interface, working with map, comparator, the collection algorithm, why generic class, then legacy class and the interface. So these things we'll be covering in this chapter. So before we move on further into this chapter, so we should know what are the basic things for the networking. So at the core of Java networking, supported by the concept of socket. So anybody can say what is socket? What is socket? A socket identifies an endpoint in the network. So now how I am able to identify all of you? So you are connecting to one path, one link, and every one of us are joining. So then I have to know what is the endpoint of the thing. So in that case, we are using something called as a socket. Socket identifies an endpoint in the network. The socket paradigm was a part of 4.2 BSD, so which was developed by Berkeley in the Unix released in the year 1980. So sockets are at the foundation of modern networking because socket allow a single computer to serve many different clients and at once. So now what we are doing, I am single teaching to you, and you, how many of you? 60 of you are listening. So what is this? One too many. So in the same way, so here even in the sockets also. So what this socket will be doing is it will allow a single computer. Now I am using only one computer, but how many of you I am serving? I am serving for 60 clients. So the same concept is being applied by the socket. So socket allows a single computer to serve many different clients at once, as well as to serve many different types of information. This is accomplished through the use of port, which is a numbered socket on a particular machine. A server process is set to listen to a port until a client connects to it. So what is this? So even I'm saying so many things, but still, see, I was waiting for the internet. So how do I get the internet? I have to connect either Wi-Fi or a LAN. So again LAN, so if I want to start a LAN, again the server should be on in the lab. So that is how the ports are. So this, how we are doing all this. So this is accomplished through the use of port. Okay, let me say I have a system, but I don't have Wi-Fi and LAN connection. Then I cannot connect to people. You may think madam is not connected. So in that case, we definitely require an internet connection to communicate or handle online classes nowadays. Same way here, what we require. So even in your systems also, you can see, even in your lab also, in your phones also, what you are doing, you have a data pack. So in the same way, for our thing, we in your labs we use a LAN connection. So for everything we require a port. So what is that port? Ports where we connect what type of things we want. So in the same way, if you want to use a handset, a headset for your mobile phone, then what you do, you have some port where you pin in the headset pointer and you can listen. So the same way here, even the internet also, not only internet, if you want to use any other gadget, extra gadget in even phone, laptop or anything, so then you require a port. So this, which is a numbered socket on a particular machine. So now suppose, now if you want to charge your phone or a laptop, so then we have a separate port for that. So if you want to use a headset, then separate port for that. If you want to connect a LAN thing, a LAN connecting a LAN, so then again for that also we have a separate connection, that is a port. Same way here, but each of them will be numbered. So that's what the socket, which is a numbered socket on a particular machine. What the server will be doing. So now suppose you people are listening where I am talking. So that's what here, server process is set to listen to a port until a client connects to it. So I told you, please wait, you were waiting for me for 2 or 3 minutes. Why? Because the server was some problem. So until unless I connect, you cannot see to me. So that's what here, a server process is set to listen to a port until a client connects to it. A server is allowed to accept multiple clients connected to the same port number, although each session is unique. So now how many of you are connected? All second semester students are connected to this particular link. So then who are the main controller? So second sem MCA mail ID is one where if we log in there, we are connecting to every one of you. So then what? Multiple clients. So how many, if we say second sem MCA is a main server, for that how many clients we have? We have 60 clients who are connected. Are they connected to same number? Yes. For the same link, all 60 plus 1 is connected. So the same way here, the same port number, although each session is unique. Again, so if I am connected, maybe some else would have some internet problem, they may drop in between, again they re-log in. So what is that? Each session is unique. So your internet connections are different and different people have different connections. So that's what each session is unique. To manage multiple client connections, a server process must be multi-threaded or have some other means of multiplexing the simultaneous input output. So to manage so many clients connection, what the server has to do? So the server has to create a multi-threaded. So now just imagine, so we just gave you some link, so theory class link. But you think how many of you can join for that? So if you want to join so many people, so behind there should be some work going on so that multiple threads are created and multiple people are joining that. So that's what here, multi-threaded. So what the server will be doing, the server process must be multi-threaded or have some other means of multiplexing the simultaneous input output. Socket communication takes place via portal. So that is internet protocol. So what the socket communication will be doing? So now how we are doing? First we should have a internet. So what is that? That is IP. So internet protocol is a low level routing protocol that breaks data into small packets and send them to an address across to a network, which does not guarantee to deliver said packets to the destination. So we have so many internet protocols. The first one we have is a IP. So what is this? This is a low level routing protocol. So what it will do, it will break the packets into smaller thing and it sends to a receiver. So now I am speaking, you people are listening. So whether what I'm speaking, you're listening at the same phase, or it is getting in a episode order. So that's how here the IP protocol is doing. So it will deliver packets to the destination. But here we cannot guarantee whether whatever we have sent, it is reached. So let us take an example. You have done some courier for a VTU. So you're requesting that you want a marks cards. So then you have to guarantee whether whatever you have sent, whether it has reached with you or not. So then what is the options we have? You would have done only a professional courier. So even sometimes even professional courier people, what they do, they won't, you won't give the number, even they would have not entered. But nowadays you can see there is a barcode where we can track them. So earlier they were not having this. So that's what here we cannot guarantee whether it is delivered said packets to the destination or not. So then transmission control protocol, that is TCP, is a higher level protocol that manages to robustly string together these packets, sorting and retransmitting them as necessary to reliable transmitted data. Okay, so nowadays what we have, so we can track where is our parcel, whether it has reached with you or not, whether it is on the way. So you can see that code, whatever they are giving, you can track in the internet and check out whether whatever the parcel you want to send to VTU, whether it is reached or not. So how do you track? So we have some barcode. That's what here TCP, what it is doing, same work here TCP also. It is a higher level protocol that manages to robustly string together these packets and whatever order. So now I am first slide is done, second slide I'm going. So you should also get the same. First you should get first slide, then second slide. It is not in a reverse order. So this sorting also will be done by the TCP. So that's what here these packets sorting and retransmitting them as necessary to reliable transmit data. A third protocol. So first one, what we have seen, IP. So what is that IP is doing? IP is not guaranteeing us whether it is reaching or not. Something like in your post office, you can see just a post, ordinary post or speed post, or we have one more. Can anybody give what are the different posts you can do? Registered post, right? So ordinary post, they won't guarantee you, or there is no acknowledgement. Speed post, some amount is extra, but the acknowledgement will be given. Registered post, if they will sign even whether the parcel is received or not, and they'll send you back. Same way here, IP means it is not guaranteeing whether the data is in the same order it is reached or not. Whereas in TCP, it is guaranteeing that whatever order it should go, the data has reached in the same order. And the third one is UDP. So what is this UDP? User Datagram Protocol. So it sits next to the TCP and can be used directly to support fast, connectionless, unreliable transport of packets. So what is this UDP is doing? It is next to the TCP. Then it sees to that it moves fast. So that's what even in your post office, speed post. So what it will do, that speed post will reach very fast. So that is a work of UDP. Similar like the work what speed post we are doing. No? Same thing here with respect to internet, with respect to networks. So if we are using UDP protocol, so then it is, why do we use this? It is supporting TCP so that it can directly fast in connectionless and unreliable transport of packets. Now, every one of us may say Wi-Fi, some will say wireless connections. So how do the data pass? So there is no connection for that. So in that case, UDP is where it is a connectionless and reliable. Yeah, can I trust if I just use a Wi-Fi whether the packets are transmitted or not? Yes. So that's what here, unreliable transport of packets. Once a connection is established, A higher level protocol ensures which is the dependent on which port you are using. So I just told you which port pen drive should be used, which port cable, power cable should be used, which port internet, that is LAN connection, should be there, which port we have to use a headset. All these have a different ports. Same way, even in the network concept also, we are using different ports for different purpose. So TCP/IP. What is this TCP/IP will be doing? Reserves the lower, what is that port number? It is 1024 port. For what? For specific protocol, we are using a TCP/IP. So in the same way, 599 protocol. So many of these will see similar to you if you have spent any time surfing the internet. So you can just have Google it. So which port is using what? So just now I gave you a rough idea. So now we use a cable, power cable for separate port, pen drive for separate port, then internet connection for separate port. But we cannot mix everything. So each one is used for each purpose. Similar fashion, even in the internet also. So the port number 21, right? Why should I use port number 21? They are reserved for FTP. So what is this FTP stands for? That is file transfer protocol. If I want to send any files, so now I want to send this PPT to all my second semester students. So then what I'm doing, I'm just going to Google Classroom and posting there. But how that is working behind? So that there in internet, in the connections, they use a port called as a 21, and file is transferred to all the students. So what port they are using for that? They are using a 21. Similar fashion, so 23 is for telnet. So telnet, I want to connect. So now every one of us connected to each one of us. Each one of us are connected. So in that case, we are reserving 23 for telnet. Same way, 25. Now I want to mail to you. So then I use your all mail IDs. So in that, what is a port? For that, 25. So in the same way, 43 is for who is. 79 is for fingers. 80 is for HTTP. And 119 is for net news. And let the list like this goes on. So these are the just some ports where we are using. The main one which we are using a HTTP. So what is that port? Generally the port will be 80. So this goes on like this. So it is up to each port to determine how a client should interact with the port. A key component of the internet is the address. So I should know the address, right? So now even if I say every one of you want to connect to classes, then you should know the address. What address you should know? You should know the link address. So that link address we have shared to you, to your mails or somewhere. So that is main key component of the internet. So the key component of internet is the address. Every computer on the internet has one. So now I have one mail ID. Students, so each one of you have your own mail IDs. So one is for BMSIT mail ID. One is another unofficial mail IDs also you have. So like this, we have one group, WhatsApp group for each first semester, for second semester students. And you would have created unofficial group, something like this you have. So, but that there also you have an address, right? So every computer on the internet has one. An internet address is a number that uniquely identifies each computer on the internet. So now if I say 1BY19, 1BY, what's your number, 19 or 20? So maybe your numbers are there, your USNs are there. So if I say 1BY20 MCA 01001, so then who is that number, USN number? It is Anaga's USN number. So it is uniquely identified. So originally all the internet addresses contained of 32-bit. So earlier, how was the thing? People were using very less internet, maybe 30 years or 40 years down the line. So then they were using only 32-bit values, organized as 4-bit values. So this address type was specified by IPv4. So can anyone say right now what we are using, IPv4 or IPv6? Can anyone say it is right now what we are using? We are using IPv4 or IPv6?
6, ma'am.
Yes, correct. So we are using IPv6. So what is that IPv6 is? It is latest version. So IPv4 was the earlier when the internet usage was less compared to now. So at least now you can see since from 1.5 year, whole world is turned into a online. So when it is turned into online, every one of us started using online. So in that case, the addresses should be increased more. So in that case, we have something called as a IPv6. So have you ever new addressing scheme called IPv6? So what is this? It is same work it is doing, but the address is address space is increased more, has become into play. So IPv6 uses 128-bit values. So in IPv4, how much they have used? They have used only 32-bit values. Whereas here, how many in IPv6 we are using? We are using 128-bit values to represent an address. So you can see in Bangalore, how many addresses are there? So now we have Elanka, Upanagra, like this day by day. So maybe after some days, even there will be some extension outside Rajan Kunte also we may have. So then we have to increase the addresses, right? That the same work here IPv4 and IPv6 is doing. IPv4 was earlier version where the people were less used internet, but because now there is a drastic use of internet usage, so then we want so many address to be generated. So in that case, we are using the IPv6. Uses a 128-bit value to represent an address. So how this is organized? It is organized into 8 16-bit chunks, although there are several reasons for and advantages of IPv6. The main one is that it supports a much large address space than what does the IPv4 is doing. So the main advantage, so there are a huge number of advantages of IPv6, but the main one is in IPv4 compared to IPv4, IPv6 has a large addresses. So that is main use of IPv6. So next we move on to networking classes and interfaces. So Java supports both TCP and UDP protocol. So now why you would have thinking why last unit we have about networking, but we should know. So when we are doing networking, you may move on to a networking site. So then even you require some language. So you can use a Java language to connect all these internets. So in that case, that's what here you can see. Java supports both. What the Java is supporting? Java is supporting both TCP and UDP. What is TCP? I just now told TCP is a transmission control protocol. Then what is UDP? User datagram protocol. So these things which we have just seen. So TCP is used for reliable stream-based input-output across the network. So stream-based, something like I should have a LAN connection. I am just giving the similarities. TCP means something like you should have a connection. There should be a wire. Suppose if I say if you are mobile, in your mobile you don't have a wire. So something like UDP. So TCP is used for reliable stream-based input-output across the internet. Whereas UDP supports a simpler, hence faster point-to-point datagram oriented model. The classes contained in the Java.NET package are shown. So all these are, it is just you have to use a built-in function. Something like if you want to use a square root, then what you are doing, you are using a math.h. Yes, math class, and within that you may have a square root, tan, con. There are so many functions there. So same way here, if you want to use any internet in Java programming. So I am doing using a Java language and I want to work on internet. Yes, you can. So that's what here java.net. It is a package and there are so many built-in functions. So you can see here, these are the different built-in functions. So if you want to authenticate, so you have a intec 6th address or server socket, cache request, all these the header files, classes, methods, where you can use all these for your networking. So you can say cache request, you can say you can use cached response, then content handler. All these are the built-in files where if you are working on the internet, if you want to go in a networking site, then you can use all these header files, same like how you use a square root. So if you, why do we use square root? So to calculate the square root of a number, but where the square root is present, it is present in a math package. Same way here, all these are present in a java.net package. So these are all the inbuilt. So if you want to give some permissions, you want to use a socket, you want to use a url, you want to use a connection, you want to give some permission for a socket, so all these are the header, all the files. So in the same way, java.net package interface. So these are the different classes. So in the same way, we have a interfaces. At least you should be familiar with what is the difference between class and interface. Class means where we can implement. But what is interface? Interface is abstract, where we don't implement. The same way, even in the networking also, there are some interfaces where they cannot be implemented, but they can be used for your further things. So those interfaces are listed here. So something like content handler factory or datagram socket implement factory, socket options, cookies, so then file name map, then URL stream handler. So the same way, why all these are used. So now you can go to your map, Google map. Then if you want to search where is BMSIT college, you just give there the destination, it will show you where exactly it is. Sometimes may not be, then you want to add, yes, there is an option for file name map, so you can map. So that's what here, the mapping, all these are the interfaces. So next one is address. So now I want to know what is the address of BMSIT college. So then how do you search? So you go for a Google and you give BMSIT and you give Bangalore. Then it will give you the address where the BMSIT is. If you give in your Google search, you'll get only this much. But if you go for Google map and give the BMSIT, it will give you from where to where you want to travel. So whether from Majestic to BMSIT or from Shivaji Nagar to BMSIT. So there are so many options. You give there. Then in the map, what you will get, whether you are traveling with walking, or you are using your two-wheeler or four-wheeler or car or bus or train. So it will give you so many options. So then what is that is doing? It is giving an address of different options. Same way here. So internet address, so the internet address class is used to encapsulate both the numerical IP address and the domain name for that address. So now we are combining this both, that is internet address as well as the domain. So now if you give, you want to know what is a website of BMSIT, then what you do, you give there www.bmsit. What is this www.bmsit? So this is one where we combine. What is this internet address is doing? It is combining both, that is numerical IP address and the domain name for that address. So we interact with this class by using a name of IP host, which is more convenient and understandable than its IP address. The internet address class hides the number inside. The internet address can handle both IPv6 and IPv4 addresses. So next we move on factory method. So what is this factory method? Okay, so come back. So in Bangalore, there are so many factories. Yes, we have so many factories. We have garment factory, we have software companies, we have chemical industries. There are so many factories. So what are each factory is doing? Each one is doing its own different purposes. Same way here. So the factory method, what is this doing is, the internet address class has no visible constructors. So what is this? It is not having a constructors here. So to create an internet address object, we have to use one of the available factory method. So that is, factory method are merely a conventional whereby static method in a class returns an instance of that class. This is done in a lieu of overloading constructor with various parameter list. when having a unique method names make the result more clear. Three commonly used address factory methods are static internet address, get local host. So after this class, you can just try out get local host. So in your system, so it will give you what is a local host in your things. So in the same way, get by name. So if you give IP address, go for a command prompt and give configure IPv configure IP. So then it will give you what are the IP address there. It will be having something like 126.176.10.0. So that is what local host is. But I don't want something like this. I want www.bmsit.ac.in. So then get by name. So what we are doing, we are getting the same thing with the name. What I'm getting, I'm getting a bmsit.in. So the same way we have get all by names. So that is what I want everything. I don't want a port number or anything. I want everything in the form of names. Yes, you can do that. So these are the three different methods available to find out what is the local host address, what is the name, or I want all by the names. These are the built-in functions where we can just use them and find out what is the addresses for internet. We'll see one by one. So get localhost method simply returns the internet address object that represents the localhost. So the same way, get by name method returns an internet address for a host name passed to it. If these methods are unable to resolve the host name, they throw an unknown host exception on the internet. It is common for a single name to be used to represent several machines. In the world of web browsers, web servers, this is one way to provide some degree of scaling. So then get all by names, what it is doing, what is this method is doing. Factory method returns an array of internet addresses that represents all the addresses that a particular name resolves to it. It is also throws an unknown host exception. So now suppose if I say I want all second semester students names and USN number, or I want only USN 001. Along with 00 USN, I want a name also. So that's how here get name, get all is doing. So the following program, what it will do is, it will print the address and the name of local machine and two well-known internet web sites. So what it is doing, so the same way public static void name we are giving. So then internet address, so get localhost, then we are displaying that host. So then address, so we are just given some address name. We can change that address name just for you to show how it is working. We have just given a osborne.com. So in the same way nba.com we have given. So we can give anything. So then we keep moving it till we reach to the end. So then display that what we have stored in SW, that is we have stored using it. So what is this program is doing? It is using all the three inbuilt function, that is get localhost, get by name, get all by name. So these are the three functions which we are can be used for your networking. So in the same way, there are some more instance methods which we can use it whenever it is required. So the internet address class has several other methods which can be used on the objects returned by the method, just as we have discussed. Here are some more commonly used methods. So the Boolean equals. So what is this Boolean equal? So returns true if this object has the same internet address as the other. So if there are two internet addresses same, then it will return a true. So byte. So what is this byte get address? So returns a byte address that represents the object IP address in the network byte address. Then string get host address returns a string that represents the host address associated with the internet address object. So then string get host name returns a string that represents the host name associated with the internet address object. The same way Boolean is multicast address, returns if this address is multicast address, otherwise it returns false. String to string returns a string that lists the host name and the IP address for the convenience. So next we move on 4 address and a 6 address. So Internet 4 address and Internet 6 address, beginning with the version 1.4, Java has included support for IPv6 addresses. Because of this, 2 subclasses of Internet address were created, that is Internet 4 address and Internet 6 address. So Internet 4 address represents a traditional style of IPv4 addresses, and Internet 6 addresses encapsulates a new style, that is IPv6 addresses. So just now we know what is IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 means where the addresses are less compared to IPv6. In IPv6, we have a large number of data addresses are available. So because they are subclasses of internet address, and internet address reference can refer to either, this is one way that Java can enable to add IPv6 functionalities without breaking existing code or adding many more classes. For the most part, we can simply use an internet address when working with IP addresses because it can accommodate both styles. So I'll stop here. We'll continue in the tomorrow's class. Tomorrow again we have a first hour class. Answer your attendance. Date is 30. Anaga, answer your attendance. Anaga is present. Abhilash, Akhil,
Yes, ma'am.
Akrut,
Ma'am, Anaga present, ma'am.
Akrut, marked Anaga. Anusha, Arvind.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is present? Who told us? Akrut. Anusha is present. Akrut marked. Arifullah.
Yes, ma'am.
Renaka. Banu Prakash.
Present, ma'am.
Bhargav.
Ma'am.
Rahmatullah.
Yes, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra.
Present, ma'am.
Chandana. Charan.
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan.
Present, ma'am.
Diksha. Dakshayani.
Present, ma'am.
Kishan.
Present, ma'am.
Harshit. Hemalata.
Present, ma'am.
Puma. Jayant.
Present, ma'am.
Divya.
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushik.
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi.
Present, ma'am.
Lavanya.
Present, ma'am.
Manisha. Sorry,
Present,
Manish.
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Manoj.
Present, ma'am.
Mohit.
Yes, ma'am.
Naval.
Yes, ma'am.
Navya.
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil.
Present, ma'am.
Panindra.
Present, ma'am.
Pavan.
Yes, ma'am.
Pooja.
Present, ma'am.
Purnima.
Present, ma'am.
Raman.
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi.
Present, ma'am.
Rupak.
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar.
Present, ma'am.
Samir.
Present, ma'am.
Santosh,
Present, ma'am.
Sadab,
Present, ma'am.
Sharan,
Present, ma'am.
Shashank,
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani, Shivani,
Present,
Soumya,
ma'am. Network issue.
Soumya,
Present, ma'am.
Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Shri Vishnu,
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Sushma,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita U,
Present, ma'am.
Tirtha,
Present, ma'am.
Trupti,
Present, ma'am.
Varsha,
Present, ma'am.
Veena, Veena, So before we stop for today's class,
Present.
why you didn't answer at that time, madam?
My mic is on, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm
Marked.
Chandana present, ma'am.
Yeah, marked.
Ma'am, Abhilash also.
Yeah, Bilash marked. Uma, Harshit. Okay. So before we stop for today's class, we'll just revise what we have done today.
Present, ma'am. Ma'am, Veena present, ma'am.
Yeah, Veena marked. So we have started with the last module. So that is networking. How the networking you can use or you can perform operations on networks. If you're going for a networking field, you can use Java programs there also. So that's the main use of this last module. So in the networking, we'll be studying about what is the fundamentals, what are socket, what is class, what is URL, what is HTTP. Then we see what are the collections, frameworks. All these we'll be seeing in the last module. Then we've just started with a socket. So what is a socket? I just want to identify what is the end point of the network. Then we use a socket. So then when was the socket introduced? It was in the year 1980. Who invented this? So it was invented by Berkeley. He used this in the Unix platform and he gave that as a 4.2 BSD. So then the socket, now single computer can serve for many different clients. The same way here, now what we are doing, so now we are recording this and we are posting it into the YouTube, and anybody can, so many clients can use at the same time. So that's the same work with the socket. So in the same way, server is allowed to accept multiple clients, and how do we connect them with the same port? Then we have started with IPv protocols. So what is this IPv protocol? It is a low level routing protocol, but what this will not guarantee, it will not guarantee whether the packets are delivered in the same order or it is delivered to the destination or not. So that is what IP will be doing. Whereas with respect to TCP, what it is doing, yeah, it will guarantee and it will sort whichever order we are sending the packet, same order it will be reached to the destination. That will be taken care by the TCP. So then what is this UDP is doing? UDP will be helping TCP to increase fast, means move the packets faster, even when there is a connection less, when there is a Wi-Fi, something like that, even then also the packets will be transmitted. That's what the TCP, IP first, then TCP, then UDP. So then we have a different port numbers for different purposes. So in the same way, if I say 21 is used for a FTP and 23 used for the telnet. So then 25 is used for email. So in the same way, 80 is used for HTTP. So like this, each port has its own work. But for all these, the key component is an internet address. So earlier we were having a IPv4, but what was it doing? It was taking only 32 bits. Whereas in IPv6, the larger address space can be included. So that's the reason IPv6 here we have 128 bits. So that's the difference between IPv4 and IPv6. Then along with that, Java supports both TCP and UDP families. So then you can use, but all these where it is present in a java.net package. These are some of the inbuilt methods where if you want to use them when you are handling a networking, yes, you can use them. In the same fashion, even in the interfaces also, there are some more inbuilt interfaces where using these, you can find out what is the time you want to give for cookies, what are the stores, all these you can do. And the next is internet address. So just now we see for anything we require an address. So that's what either the Java can be using IPv4 or IPv6. Along with that, we have a factory methods. These are inbuilt methods. For these factory methods, there are three important things. One is get localhost, next is get by name or get all by names. So that's how here what is this get localhost is doing, then what is get by name is doing, and what is get all by name is doing. So then we have just seen one small program how this is working. So then these are the inbuilt instance methods. Each one is doing its work. So then we have started with IPv4, 4 address and 6 address. So 4 address in Java version 1.4 IPv addresses were used, but the difference between 4 and 6 is IPv4 uses internet 4 address and IPv6 uses internet 6 address. So then we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.